Hey YouTube, this is Adia, and today I wanted to show you my gun collection and talk to you a little bit about the choices that I made. Before I begin, I do want to let you know that all of these guns are in the safe position and they have been safety checked. We don't store any ammo in our weapons in the apartment, but yeah, so I wanted to just talk a little bit about the choices that I made when choosing my weapons. This might be informative for any ladies out there or small framed individuals who are looking to maybe purchase a firearm. I do want to emphasize that these are my weapons. My husband has his own, and so I am responsible for taking care of these in terms of cleaning them and any maintenance on them and firing them. And I chose these weapons, so I think that's important for ladies as well. Is a lot of times I think she doesn't necessarily have the full scope of her weapon. So I first want to start off by talking about handguns. So you'll see I have two handguns here. The first one here you see is a Wasser 10. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's a Walther P22. This is my range gun. I have a laser sight on it and an extended barrel. The really nice aspect about this gun is that it has a smaller grip. So for smaller hands, it is really nice, and compared to other handguns, it has virtually no kick whatsoever. So for someone who's not necessarily familiar with handgun shooting, this is a fantastic option. Additionally, it's got really cheap ammo, so I use this at the range, and I can go through a lot of rounds and maintain my accuracy without having to spend a lot of money. In a pinch, I guess I could use this to shoot small game, but really it's intended to be my range gun. My second weapon that I have here is a Glock 26 9mm. This is my primary sidearm, and I really use it for conceal and carry, but it is awfully large for conceal and carry, so I'm looking into purchasing a 380, which would be a little bit smaller for fitting in my purse or in my pocket maybe. But in general, this is a really nice weapon to have. The magazines are interchangeable with the Glock 17, which is nice, so I can always put a higher capacity magazine in here. But one of the nice things you can see is that it is really good for small hands. I almost don't even need that extended finger grip there. For a smaller hand, this is a pretty good option. Another reason that I chose the Glock 26 was because I can rack the slide very easily on some of my husband's full-size weapons, on some of his full-size handguns. I'm not even able to rack the slide at all. So if you have weaker hands or smaller hands, this is a really good option. And even not necessarily just a Glock, any weapon you're looking for, make sure that you can rack the slide with ease. So those are my two handguns. The next weapon that I wanted to talk to you about was my shotgun. This is a Mossberg 20 gauge youth shotgun. It is a pump action weapon, and one of the nice aspects that I have is I actually store extra shells with the weapon, which is nice because, as I said before, we don't keep our weapons loaded, so that way you always have your ammo available to you. This is a really good home defense weapon. I went with a 20 gauge instead of a 12 gauge just because of the kick. This is a much less kick, and so it's easier for me to manage. Also, I could use it for hunting if I had to. We do keep bird and double aught shells with the weapon, but really it's intended for home defense. So that covers handguns and shotguns. The bulk of my weapons, as you can see, are actually rifles. So first I'm going to talk about the smallest caliber rifle that I have, and it's actually set up here in a survival system. This is a single shot bolt action 22. This was the very first gun I ever owned. I got this when I was 12 years old, and what we did was we actually went and purchased one of these tactical shotgun scabbards, and you'll see that the 22 fits really nicely into that. But again, we have it set up more like a we have it set up more like a survival system, because you can easily attach with MOLLE straps the survival kit. Now this kit just has your standard issue things. It's got water purification tablets, fire starter, first aid. I've got a compass for navigation, multi-tool, which I really prefer over which is really easy to do because the .22 caliber is small and lightweight. Additionally, if I had to, I could grab the P22 to go with it. They use the same caliber, so it would be a good combination. Moving on, this is a CZ 527 bolt action rifle. It is .223 caliber. I really like this gun a lot. It's got a very low kick for a rifle, and I do most of my range shooting with this weapon. You can see that I have a bipod attached to it. I have a very nice Leupold scope. This is 3.5 by 10, and it is sighted in for 200 yards. It's a very nice scope. Additionally, I've got these 5-round mags. I've got a couple of these just so I can pop them in and out, and as with my shotgun, I keep ammunition along with the weapon itself. This weapon is well designed for people who are more petite in stature. The buttstock is a very comfortable hold, and the whole gun itself is actually very comfortable to shoot. I really enjoy shooting it quite a bit. So these weapons are really good for everyday shooting, but if you are in a tactical situation, you might want to choose some different options than a bolt action rifle. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about my tactical rifles now. So the first one that I want to talk to you about is my Wasser 10. This is an AK-47 variant, so you might hear me refer to it as an AK-47. I have a Tapco stock and pistol grip here attached to it. The nice thing about this pistol grip is that it's small, so a smaller hand can hold it pretty well, and the Tapco stock is collapsible, so I can make this distance more appropriate for my reach. I have attached a 3-point sling to it, which I find it's more comfortable when I'm doing tactical style shooting to have the 3-point sling, and I've got batteries and cleaning kit attached with that. I also went ahead and put on a cheap MC Star scope and a pretty cheap tactical flashlight. We just sort of had these lying around, and for what the gun can do, these are reasonable. It's not really all that necessary. Now, I have used a Bushmaster in the past. Generally, people compare the Bushmasters, the AR-15 and the AK-47, and I have used the AR-15 in the past, but I, in the end, opted for the AK-47 variant for a couple reasons. First, this is really easy to clean and take apart. I'm not doing match shooting, so I don't need some super high accurate rifle. I just need something that I can throw ammo down the range. And this being easy to operate, easy to clean, to take apart, it makes it a desirable quality for this weapon. Additionally, a lot of people might mention that the kick is less on the AR-15, and so a smaller person might prefer that. That is true, the kick is less, but there are things you can do to minimize the kick on the AK-47. For example, I have a recoil buffer here on your recoil spring, and that really reduces the kick considerably. In the past, I've also put a muzzle brake on here that helps with that too. So there are things that you can do to kind of reduce the effects of that. But honestly, I don't think that the kick is so strong that it makes this not an option anymore. And I'm a pretty small person, so it is something that you should consider when you're looking at these. Now, this would be my primary assault style rifle. This is the one that I would use most of the time, and this is actually, in terms of my rifles, this is the one I shoot the second most often. I really enjoy shooting the CZ, so this would be the other one that I shoot quite a bit. The last weapon that I want to show you is a Chinese SKS. It's got a Dragunov style stock. I also have put on a cheap, a bipod and a pretty cheap scope on it. The other nice features is it's got this vented steel handguard, and I've got a nice muzzle brake there on the end. This actually used to be my husband's weapon, and he gave it to me shortly after we got married as a gift. I really enjoy shooting it. It's actually pretty accurate in its current configuration. So it's a pretty nice assault style rifle weapon to have. The reason ultimately that I went to the AK-47 variant instead of this SKS, however, has a lot to do with the length, and you can kind of see them here together. You see they have the SKS is a much longer and heavier weapon, and so that became a problem because I'm not a very big person, I'm not a very strong person. But really the huge issue was the interchangeable mag. These are much more difficult to remove and insert than the interchangeable mags for the AK-47. So that also became quite an issue. However, the SKS is a less expensive weapon. At the time of purchase, it was actually half the cost of the Wasser 10, and they are considerably cheaper than an AR-15. So you could buy 4 of these for the cost of an AR-15, and that's also something to consider if you're looking at cost issues. So that is the overview of all my firearms, and I might do one with my husband's firearms in the future, but these ones were specifically mine, and I just wanted to kind of go over them with you. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and please feel free to leave me any comments.